Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my afternoon news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. With record turnout predicted, state officials gear up for robust monitoring of Tuesday, Election Day. Secretary of State Gardner predicts midterm record turnout of 540,000 on Election Day. Before joining other state officials for a briefing on how New Hampshire's upcoming election will be conducted and closely monitored, Secretary of State William Gardner on Friday told WMUR he believes New Hampshire will set a midterm general election record on November 6th with 540,000 voters going to the polls. The longtime secretary predicted voting Tuesday will far surpass the 495,000 voters cast in the November 2014 midterm election, despite the fact that in that year a major U.S. Senate race was on the ballot in addition to the governor's race and two U.S. House races. No U.S. Senate race is on top this year, but the state will elect two U.S. House members, a governor, and members of the state legislature. Gardner said that enthusiasm is embedded on both sides of the political aisles, which he said will fuel the record turnout. The country has been living with constant reminders of how important elections are, he said. Politics has been covered every night on the news for almost 2 years now. WMR first reported Gardner's turnout prediction early Friday on Twitter. Gardner said the number of late voter registrations is further evidence of the enthusiasm. As of the September 11 primary elections, there were 951 to 104 registered voters in the state, and he said since that 15,428 people have registered, bringing the total to 966,532. Of the 15,428 new registered, 10,407 were undeclared, 3,410 were Republicans, and 1,482 are Democrats, Gardner said. Also, he said 129 new Libertarians have registered. If 540,000 voters turn out on Tuesday, it would be 56% of the current number of registered voters. That does not take into account those who register on Monday and the many people who are expected to register on Election Day. Gardner, however, said the turnout will be in the neighborhood of 50% of 55%. He noted that presidential year elections are far higher turnouts than midterms in New Hampshire and across the country. In 2016, more than 755,000 New Hampshire ballots were cast. With the prospect of a huge turnout, Gardner joined Attorney General Gordon MacDonald, other officials of MacDonald's office, and top U.S. Justice Department officials in a media briefing on measures that have been taken and will be taken to try to ensure a smooth and secure election. MacDonald said more than 70 attorneys and investigators from his office and the Federal Department of Justice will cover all of the state's polling places. MacDonald said that if there is litigation on Election Day, state and federal courts have been issued protocols to deal with the cases. He said the Election Day hotline is 1-868-3703 and will be open from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. Local election officials trained. Gardner said training sessions have been held for all local election officials, attended by 300,226 people. He said election manuals that have been provided to local election officials highlight the changes to voting procedures that have been brought about by the passage of newly enhanced status. He said that a recent study by John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard showed New Hampshire rated the top state for how elections are conducted with regard to fairness and making information available to the public. And he said the best measure of public confidence in the election process is the turnout. Gardner said the voter registration requirements put into place in the spring of 2017 as a result of a new state law have been used in 3 elections despite continuing current challenge. Gardner said that in New Hampshire, a person can show up without an ID and no one can recognize the person. That person can still vote. Deputy Secretary of State David said his office, using a federal grant, has tightened its defense against would-be hackers. And that does it for the Riley King News Report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all enjoyed my news report and have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. I'll see you back here later on today for the Riley King Newscast and for another news report. Goodbye, everyone.